thoughts are a series of thoughts. Imaginations are emotions occurring during sleep. An experience of waking life, having two characteristics of a dream, a visionary creation.
Hello, welcome back and welcome to The Way. It's me, Infinity, and Miss
Jag Noir Moon.
And we are here again. And episode 3 is about dating on the same playing field. All right. So what I want to do first is I want to kind of define a word or a topic that we discussed in the last episode, and that's trauma bond. Okay, because a lot of people are like, what is that? What is a trauma bond? So I kind of want to define that and then go into dating on the same playing field. Trauma bond is when two wounded adults unconsciously relive painful childhood experiences or adult experiences. This is trauma bonding. Okay, we have unconscious and conscious wounds. And some of them we actually be accountable for, and some we don't so much because we really don't know them. I know we've heard this word in religion mostly, or just growing up with a religious background of being equally yoked. And when it comes to your spiritual, mental, physical, your health as a whole, you or I would want to be with a energy partner, other half, or relationships in general, even relationships with our children. Okay. I would want these relationships to be equally yoked. And that takes work. That takes work, especially if we all coming from different spaces, places. Certain people react to certain things in different ways. We all react to certain things in different ways. So that plays a part on our psychological and our responses and our reactions and our actions. So, without action, with every action, there's a reaction. And that plays a big part in that. Give us dating on the same playing field. Give us an example of what that looks like.
Okay. Dating on the same playing field. So what is that? What could that look like? What does that even, we've probably all heard the term playing field, right? Mm-hmm. Or, playing the field, and, you have multiple options and things like that. So when you say dating on the same playing field, I visualize it more so maybe like a plane. So, different planes of existence, right? Mm-hmm. So I know you mentioned physical, mental, spiritual, and I wanted to add an extra one on there. Mm-hmm. Another layer. Please
do.
As young girls or women, in society, they kind of say, or the belief that women need to date someone financially, right, capable of mm-hmm. supporting them or taking care of them, things like that. Financially responsible and able to do that. So I think that we can put that in the physical, of course, also. But then also, men a lot of times go off of appearances, right? Looks. So women were told you need to have some money. Men told she need to look good. So when I think about it, the physical, physically, we're attracted to that person. We see them, looks, right, appearance. So I see it as that could be tied to what the earthly plane, physical existence, and then the mental in relationships. So, you know, you might be drawn to someone off of physical looks, and then mentally, you may be attracted to that person also, right? Mental. And mental, though, can be a tricky one, I think, because sometimes or oftentimes, you know, that's the one where I guess perception comes into play, because mentally, am I really seeing what I think I'm seeing, or am I really either projecting it, or am I creating the image in my mind of what I want? Or this is my favorite one. I'll put this one in the mental, the potential.
Girl, you know that's our favorite.
You know, girl, he
that
got potential.
That potential.
She has potential.
Potential.
And what that is like, well, first of all, potential is something that hasn't even happened, right? That's in the future. So we're not even being present with what we're being given right now.
We're not being present.
Right. So we've created this image of what we want this person to be, or who we think this person is. That's kind of like potential, right? And then also the emotional, right? The emotions, you know? If the emotions get caught up in that, and that's more, you know, the feeling, the desire, we're longing for that person. You know, you say, oh, but I'm emotionally involved, you know, and it's a strong pulling magnetism type. And so I could see that as another, you know, playing field. Right? So you can be emotionally caught up, and you think that that's what you need to be because it's emotion. And then spiritual field, and that's the one that I believe that we should connect to more. And those other ones can kind of be deceiving, but when you have that spiritual, when you're that's your playing field, right? That's your plane. The spiritual plane of, you know, that's that. You can't be in the future, in the mental, and or in the emotional or things like that, because your spiritual is present. You know, it is that divinity, that connection, and that's really what it's all about, in a sense, because even when we're in the other field, it's a connection that we think, but I think again goes into perception, you know, and we get caught up in that, and you know, when you're present and you're in the spiritual and you're both connecting, that's the true connection, because really is you're looking for a connection outside of yourself and the other ones, but then it's like in the spiritual field, you go back to that connection with yourself first, right? The true self. And then when you do that, it's like an evolution in consciousness, because you're going to meet someone, like you said, equally yoked, right? So if I am connecting with myself and I'm working on that spiritual fit, then I get that together and have, you know, that harmony, that wholeness and connection. Yes. I think that right there is that's what takes dating to a whole nother level. And but you know what? I wanted to ask you a question about this. So what about those who bother us, right? Those who stimulate something in us, maybe in these other fields. Is there something wrong with that? Do you think maybe that could be helpful to our evolution? I mean, I get we saying like you want to date somebody thing, but sometimes as far as growth and lessons, do we not need to dip our feet into those other fields and you know and try it out and see what it is that we get? And if we do get something we're not, maybe we should take a look at ourselves and maybe what do you think?
It's funny because I was just talking to someone recently about that balance and what that, because we get into this space we call consciousness. I did that because they've really taken that and did a lot with it, as far as made it look like it was something that's just a wave, a move,
right.
But it's more than that, it's way much more than that. And some of us have ran off with the wave. Like, we're conscious. We think we're in the consciousness movement, but we're not actually putting in the work.
That's the woke way?
Yeah, the woke way. Right.
That way.
Right. Okay. And the reason for this show, you woke.
Well,
now
what?
You see what I'm saying? In that sense, it's like we need that, because when you think about the chakra, I'm going to put the example with the chakra. So if you think about the chakra system, there is no purple without the red. Purple is wide open, indigo, blue. All this is wide open, and this, the red, the yellow, the orange, if that's off, or just imagine if we just know what the chakras really mean. I know a lot of people don't know what they mean, and maybe we have to do a chakra show. But for those who do,
sounds great.
Right? For those who do, that's just hella out of balance. You're gonna be too in the clouds. You're gonna be talking too much. You're not gonna know when to when to be still. When to get grounded. We need that's the reason why we go outside and plant our feet. That's also physical. That's putting the physical aspect into it, and also that grounding helps with that chakra.
Exactly, connecting, and like you said, that balance, that harmony, and even if one of the chakras are closed, then it takes that equal amount of work to create that that harmony within yourself, right? So can't focus too much on one and neglect the other.
It's about bringing that lower self and that higher self and working your magic. That's the alchemist.
Yes, that's the alchemist.
That's that yin yang, and it's the reason why they're together. That's inside of us. That's us. And we can have those same connections with others, like me and my sister here.
Which is so, that's what this is about, right? That's what this experience, the connection, and realizing that there is no separation. You and I aren't separated.
No, there is no separation. Yeah,
you always been in my heart, like.
And we'll call each other and we'll be like, "Hey, let me tell you what happened to me." So. I'm like, oh, really, man, listen, girl. Yes. Different physical locations. Right. Okay. Same thing going on. It's like in sync. That's just show, and like that's the balance within it all, and just to have
and the beauty.
Oh, that's so beautiful, right?
Yes, and it reminds you, I'm not alone.
Not alone. You never really. And then think about it. They always say when you really focus in on something, you will attract your tribe. And then you're so in tune and doing the work that even the people that may not just particularly just be like in the tribe, quote unquote, like you still respect your other relationships and you can live cohesively with those relationships because you know when to, like, you know how to jump in, jump out. Like I know how to go, come over here, party, do what I need to do whatever. I know how to come over here and I know how to take my mental break. I know how to get myself together. I know how to take my spiritual break. I know how to be still. And when it's time for me to come to myself.
And that's that balance. Mm-hmm. Even the question I asked, well, what about the other, we're in the other parts? I mean, is that not part of the experience? And I believe that it is. But like you said, knowing when, listening to your body and listening to your heart and your soul, and knowing when to make adjustments, when to be still, knowing, and that goes back to that alignment with self, and connecting to know and listen to that voice telling you, hey, we need more of this. This is what we need. And that's part of the process. So so not knowing when. So if you're stuck on one field, if you're stuck maybe in the physical or the emotional field, then knowing, okay, maybe it's time to move on. If emotionally I feel drained dealing with this person, if I feel just depleted, that's okay, right? To move on, to know, hey, but you listen to your body, you listen to know what it is that you need to do and make those necessary adjustments so you can feel really good about yourself. Get back in that good feeling, because that's ultimately what is going to connect you back to spiritual, that spiritual field. And real quick, I wanted to jump on needs. Remember when we were younger, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I just thought about that, and I just thought about, like, is it set up like kind of like the pyramid or something, like
it is
like the food pyramid, and tells you, like, and from your most physical basic needs, from shelter, food, things like that, and then gonna go up in like spiritual needs and security and safety. All these things are on there, and because we do in this human form, in this physical existence, we have needs, right? And being able to address those needs, those physical needs, those mental needs, those emotional needs, spiritual needs, those different parts of your chakra, which is connected to some of these needs too, right? Like safety and security, base, feeling grounded, like you were saying, and going outside. So, addressing these needs, and first goes back to knowing what you need, right? That's number one. So even dating, we can say, am I dating? Well, how do I know if I'm dating the right person? Do you even know what you need?
What are your desires? You don't even know. And you know what? You talked about emotional, and you made me look at my note, because I was trying to think which note did I write. Just had the emotions in it. So I wrote, romantic relationships can be extremely emotionally activating. So, like, these relationships that we have, they don't even have to be romantic. Our relationships emotionally activate or trigger, right?
Right.
Whatever emotion it is, it does it. And it activates it for people with unresolved, and this is people with unresolved trauma. Just unresolved trauma. And this can re-trigger traumatic memories. Yeah.
The parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Fight or flight. And when we're in that trauma, and it's known as, the fight or flight or freeze or fawn, and getting stuck in those, sometimes you get stuck in that. But I just want to tie on though to what you were saying though with the trauma. It made me think of the thoughts, what we repeat, because we talk about the feeling and we get stuck, and that's a lot of times we get stuck in that cycle of negative thinking, because we attribute certain traumas, and then we'll take that into our relationship. So entertain the most negative thoughts because of our past experiences, and so we take that with us and think about it. If that cycle is on repeat, playing that something negative, instead of identifying it, right? That awareness, like, whoa, could this be tied to something that happened from my childhood of being abandoned? Or why do I always think that, and I'm bringing this into this relationship, which will start to repel your partner, right? If you're constantly and not resolving this, but it's still replaying, because you're replaying these thoughts and these feelings in your life, and thinking these negative, these thought forms. So changing that. Yeah, so that's why it's so vital. And then when you say like the trauma body, that's why it's so vital to connect with that spiritual, because when you're present, it really takes for you to be present, to have that awareness, to be like, whoa, that's, like my thoughts become things, like my thoughts, my words, my feelings, like that's what's affecting my life, and allowing me to play in the wrong playing field.
Wait, listen. So I
Level up.
got a question for you. I don't even know if I'm gonna ask it right because someone asked me
Just let it flow. You don't ask perfectly.
this. Like, to what point would you say it is not our thoughts? People are just acting out of something they want to do, or, at what point you say that it's not, that ain't my thoughts doing that?
Okay, elaborate more.
Okay, so the example.
Example.
So the example that they gave me was like a baby in the yard, getting shot, like a drive-by, something like that, getting, and something happening to the baby.
Now re-ask the question.
What would you say to something that, like, where is the line drawn to say that, oh, okay, that's not my thoughts, that's somebody else?
Right. So saying like that traumatic and horrible tragedies happen, how is it then that could not be, that wasn't your thought, so how did it come into?
But they use the example of a baby to not say, okay, because like adults, we can have thoughts.
Right. So the baby wasn't thinking yet.
So the baby, a baby wasn't thinking about no shootings.
Right.
But the bullet came and it shot the babies. But I just gave what my response was was in some form in my belief, or what resonates with me the most to answer the question is that, like, we already made that agreement. So that's what's going to happen coming on this earthly plane. We've already made that agreement, and I'm gonna come in 2 things. I might need to get some type of energy right quick and pop back out. And this will happen to me. That's what I said. So I guess it was kind of all mental. in a way. Because if I made the decision in another plane or another existence, okay, when I come back here, this is what I want to happen in this.
Another plane, that agreement was made.
So that's what I said. What dating someone on the same playing field, what they could possibly feel like when you guys are meeting each other needs. And these needs are not, this doesn't affect anyone mentally, spiritually. It doesn't affect them in a bad way. Everything these needs are, it makes me feel good just to be in this space with you. And some of those needs may differ, but being equally yoked, like whatever those needs are, they won't clash and they'll be in harmony. Start to get a better understanding, of each other. And just, you talked about that financially, on the same playing field financially, that's like the earthly plane, but just in that sense, helping me take care of myself, helping me take care of me, while I help you take care of you. Because ultimately, we need to be taking care of ourselves, and our relationships should just enhance that care. Make you aware of certain things you probably wasn't aware of. You all to start to get a better understanding of each other and just coming together. I'm gonna use an example of sickness and illnesses. And that illnesses and sickness also goes with some of our traumas because they manifest on the physical. But that's another episode. But just know that our illnesses, some of our illnesses can tell us of our traumas. Our physical illnesses can tell us of our traumas. So just with us taking care of ourselves, I really don't need you to take care of me. Because like you were saying, the women were, or the little girls were always raised to, you need to find a man who can take care of you. They got some money.
All the movies and
right.
Media, that's what's pretty much reinforced. Like, yeah.
So, and we all may come to a point, and like, because life ebbs and flows, right? We may come to a point where we need that financially.
But we have to see things similarly, right? Mm-hmm. Because if I view that, then you get in that with control, right? Mm-hmm. When someone is ego comes into play, and this is, or one is ego and has the money, the other one is comes from a mindset of scarcity and lack, and that can be an issue.
They can.
A big issue, really, because then that could affect someone's self-esteem, mm-hmm. and thinking that I have to put up with this because
I have to certain things.
Yeah, because they have the finances, they have the money, mm-hmm. Or maybe that's what my mom had to put up with, so that's what I need to. And a lot of times we're taught that that's okay, right? Because money is power, and if you want to have power to be able to treat people any kind of way, you need to have money. And that's why you have to look at money similarly, or at least have an understanding of being on the same plane, right? The same playing field with that, because, they say, I'm not sure exact statistics or whatever, but, the main reason people, divorce or relationships don't last is because over what? Finances, right? Mm-hmm. They get in the money, they be like, okay, they thought they had love conquers, then they get in there and they view things differently when it comes to money. They don't see money the same way. They don't have the same thoughts and feelings when it comes to money. Mm-hmm. And then again, there's an imbalance. Shifts need to be made. And some people aren't willing. They're stuck in there, and like they're stuck in these old patterns or these old belief systems and thought forms. And like I said, it could be a lot of times money is tied to trauma. You grew up in the house as a child with scarcity. Chances of you when you get older, for you to change your mindset towards money, it's more difficult, especially if that's all you've heard is we don't have enough, or we just got to make ends meet. Those thoughts get stuck as you get older, and you have to learn how to change that. I wanted to ask you a question that makes me think of something real quick. I wanted to know, will your patterns keep you from elevating? Like you get stuck in a certain playing field that you don't even want to be in there because your patterns are still no change. What are your thoughts, sister?
First, I would ask the question of what do they think elevation is? What do you think elevation is personally? That's what kind of I would ask myself too. What do you think elevation is? Because a lot of people can say, well, elevation to me is, you know what I'm saying? I'm making ends meet. I'm paying my bills. I got this. I ain't got to worry about how my mama worries. I got this. That's elevation to me. I elevated from what I grew up in. And that's good for me. And that's cool. Nothing's wrong with that. But our definition of elevation may be different. But yes, regardless of your definition of elevation, being stuck in any type of pattern and not being accountable, not when you look in the mirror, all on your physical, when you really look in the mirror and look through your eyes and try to see your soul. Or when you forget these two eyes, looking through these two eyes here, when you close these two eyes and look within yourself.
Ultimately, you're saying it starts with self, though, right? So when we have these patterns, a lot of times when in relationships, we'll have patterns, right? We'll date someone who was just like the last 10 people we dated, right? It's like experience, right? And we go into the next relationship. But each time, though, we're blaming that other person. Mm-hmm. Those patterns, we get stuck in these patterns of attracting the same type of situations or energy,
Mm-hmm.
but then looking outside of yourself. So what I hear you say is, you said mirror, first of all, but like true self-mastery, right? We cannot continue to say, hey, this person did this to me. This is because of them. That accountability for yourself, and no one is keeping you stuck in a playing field you don't even want to be in.
And if this person is so horrible to you or toxic to you or this to you, why would you want to keep being with them?
It could be different reasons, like we just said, financially.
It could be different reasons. It could
right?
be so many different reasons.
Financially, well, I only put up with it because I have to.
But
we have kids.
That says something about, I would rather feel broken than even try to see what's healing in myself. Instead, okay.
That's hard though. Yes. It's uncomfortable. It's hard. It's that unknown, because if I just take a leap of, but that's part of how we change patterns, right? How we make that change. We have to step out on this one. They say step out on faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just trust and know, because we're fully capable. You can get out of any circumstances. You can change your life.
You can literally be the alchemist of your life. I kind of want to go back to, you were talking about feeling powerful. They feel this power with the finances, but not only that, it breaking others. We were talking about them talking negatively, or breaking others in such a way, or you feeling more than this person, or should I say, find someone who is more broken than you, because you're trying to constantly break this person when you yourself are truly the one that's broken. Because healing or healed people don't constantly break people down.
Focus on understanding you,
mm-hmm.
rather than someone else.
Like you were right in line with that. Focus on understanding yourself before, because like me and you can relate to this. When we are in our zodiac signs or in our planetary alignment, we're kind of the people who empathize and want to help, and we attract that. You're working on those parts of yourselves, and I just want to understand me. Once I start understanding me and seeing what I need to do, I need to change, my thought process. Because when you start to pay attention to your thoughts, you can really start to see, like, okay, wait, I think like this, so maybe that's why I'm getting this. So, hey, get that thought. That's a bad thought.
A domino effect, right?
Yes.
Because thought starts with that thought, and then comes the feeling, and then those feelings that are associated with those thoughts, and then it's the behavior, and it's like it all ties together. So understanding yourself, right? That's first and foremost. And then your needs. Because if you don't understand yourself, you don't even know what you need. So I'm telling you, but you need, and then you need to provide that for yourself. What was that?
I said that mood.
That mood.
That where we just look, y'all.
Spirits, yes.
Spirit is great. Like spirit is so beautiful. When I tell you, like I could tell you the stories how spirit works in my life now, and I promise you, it just amazes me. And no matter what I see with my two eyes, I know if I just continue to put in that work, like I'm existing more than right here sitting in front of this camera. And I know a lot of you may not. It may go all over your head, and that is okay. But I am existing more than right here. This
more than just this feel, right?
More than this plane. All at one time. So it has played out in different ways it has already played out in different ways on different fields. But listen, y'all, I was talking about how spirit brings me things.
How do you pronounce it?
Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Zeitgeist.
Zeitgeist. It's Zeitgeist. It's a documentary, a 3-part documentary, but it came to me through a very unusual way. But hey, I looked it up, and the meaning of it. I've seen the documentary back, some time back, but I never looked up this meaningless word. But the meaning of it is defining spirit, the defining spirit or mood. I just want to try to hear that. The defining spirit or mood of a particular period of history, as shown by the ideas and beliefs of that time. Spirit and mood work together. It shows us, based on the spirit in this mood, in this time in history, this is what's going on because of this spirit and this mood during this part of history, or this period.
So are you telling me that then? So if I wanted a group of people to feel a certain mood,
Mm-hmm.
if I wanted to shift the collective's mood,
or shift any crowd,
or any space where I know it's going to be more than just the individual, right? It's going to be several people feeling certain things. Could I do that like in the media or in spaces where I know there's a huge audience, and that if I show them certain things, or if I use certain language or visual that they can feel a certain way all at the same time? And with that, is that like a period? And during that period of time, oops,
wait, did you say that?
No.
No, C word. Girl, we C word.
Okay, well, that just made me, it was just at the top of my, like, it just made me think while we're talking. I'm like, period. Think about how many people were affected,
Mm-hmm.
and still are affected after the fact.
I want you to see something, though. This is another period that affected us. Can you read that? It's kind of done lightened up a little bit, but that's so funny. That's another period that kind of affected us.
That was not kind of. Remember, that was the whole world decided they were going to.
So my shirt says, if people can't read it, I can breathe. Now, we already know what was said in the media. So back then, I made me a shirt that kind of switched the narrative, because I can. And we know what came next, or
what came after that. Guess what? Lockdown. You can't breathe and you can't get fresh air. I can't connect. Like you said, grounding so important. I can't connect with, and that really, that's so important. It connects us to nature, spirit, all of that, And so,
go ahead.
Breathing. So you couldn't, and then afterwards, you still couldn't.
But I can breathe.
Right.
Because that connects us to our what? Life force. And now, how are we going to connect this back to dating on the same playing field?
Right, because we just went everywhere.
But that's okay. But it all comes together. You know how it connects? How can you, well, some people can, but to truly be authentic within yourself and just be so, others should make you happy. They should make you happier. That's my thing. If I'm not with you and I'm happier, why am I with you? I need to be happier, because I'm already happy. Because I do the work to work on myself so I can be happy. So make me happier. So if you're not making me happier, I can be happy over here by myself.
I can be happy all by myself. What's that? That other one? We ain't going through that one. I can do bad all by myself. I can be happier.
I can be happier all by myself. Because it's like, if you got on I can't breathe and I got on I can breathe, that's a statement within itself. We need to have on shirts, it's time to separate.
Right.
It's time for these two to switch lanes.
Right. You can't be, look, you are wearing an I can breathe and dating somebody that's wearing an I can't breathe. We might need to.
And it's okay. It's okay. It's all part of the experience any goddamn way.
Right. And you know, that person may not water with you. They might think that they can't be, right? Mm-hmm. When you think, but who knows? Later down the line, they might something within them might move them to be like, you know what? I can. It may not happen at the same time.
And that kind of ties into having someone to heal with as well. That's so important. And I mean healing, not just you doing the spiritual inner work. I mean healing if so much of your trauma has came to the surface and affects you physically, you need someone who is going to say, listen, we need to do this because we gotta be here. Anything we gotta do, we both putting our energy into it and eat these certain fast foods. You know, you really shouldn't be eating them. You need a partner who's not gonna go buy them. And if your partner goes and buy them and then say, you know, you want something to eat and that's my only option. I chose to still be here, you know? So we're not equally yoked anymore. I want you to touch on something. I'm going to say something and I kind of want you to touch on it. Reciprocity.
Reciprocity. What does that word mean?
Well, just break it down. Give me something.
Break it down. Okay. So reciprocity. I always think of when I hear the word reciprocity and exchange, right? I feel like the exchange of energy. And one thing that always comes to mind is 7 principles of Ma'at. Mm-hmm. What goes around comes around. Mm-hmm. And when I think of reciprocity, I think of it like that. I think of it as what you put out, you receive, you get back. That even exchange that of what is given shall be received. Some people may even call it karma, you know, different terms for it. But yeah, definitely giving what you, and like in it could be like a movement, a flow of energy that's being recycled, I guess you could say.
As you was talking, I was thinking about like when it comes to finances, we were talking about sometimes the woman or the man may have seen every situation where the man has more money or the woman has more money. We've seen both, right? And you see them genuinely working and your other parts of the relationship are like bomb. Like everything is like there. This person makes me feel good. Like I love everything about it. Like I love them. Like it's just like you can just feel like you can go to higher heights with this person. And even then, like I think in those moments when love is that strong, you all have that communication about how we can bring that part of our lives into balance. We're both willing to do anything. You do this, I'm doing this. We motivate each other. There's no other aspect of you're hurting me or you're breaking me because you're broke. I wanna get out of this space, and I'm speaking from the person who doesn't have, and because I have been the person who had, and I have been the person who hasn't had. I have been on both playing fields. When you begin to work together, everything, like I said, everything else is beautiful. They don't hurt you in any kind of way. They don't make you feel, bad for what you got, or they're not jealous of what you got, or they don't devalue you because what you don't have. It's just let's come together. And let's make this great for the team. These are the resources I got right now. What can we do with these resources? Because obviously you're willing to work because we're working together and we're harmonizing and we're both happier. So you're willing to work. And now that willingness to work on, because it takes a lot for us to be investing in ourselves. We got to be so invested in these 9 to 5s. When you really invest in yourself, it takes a lot.
We're okay with investing into 9 to 5s, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes to investing in ourselves or in the ones we say we love the most, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. we're not as invested.
Patient.
We're not as compassionate. We're not as patient. We don't have that grace, right? And you said so many things that just stuck out to me, but the number one thing, and I feel like it ties everything back to you stated communication, which is important. I thought I wanted to say that first before I close out with this, but communication is key in any relationship. So let's say that first, right? We need to be able to communicate and talk things through, but from a place of love, right? And when we know that it's a place from love, and there is no competition, because like you said, it's a team. We know it's a team effort. This is together. There is no separation again, right? And what's good for the team is going to be good for the individual. But the number one thing that ties everything together, and even when you're on these other playing fields and things are not in alignment, the number one thing we can go back to, I believe, is the heart. Is the heart, that heart space. So if we're both coming from that unconditional love, that infinite.
Girl, you just made me think of something else. So God just said, "Ain't no such thing as unconditional love for a man, because he got to bring the resources."
That infinite.
That's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show. That infinite essence. When those come together, when two people whose heart space is so big and that love is there, that infinite love, that eternal love, everything else becomes less of an issue, of a problem, because you can work through everything else, right?
You can work through everything else.
You can work through it. You can communicate and you can work through it. So when all's said and done, you can have all these differences, and that will still bring you back home. Love will bring you back home.
Love will bring you back home. And that's a welcome to the way.
And guess what? And you feel safe. And you know, and that feeling right there, that true saying is peace. It's that sanctuary. So you will, it's a knowing. It's a knowing. And it doesn't make you feel anything other than light and loving, and
just want to give more love.
You want to give more love. You want to give and you want to receive. You want reciprocity.
That those divine energies coming together as one.
Yeah. And that too, that when you're in that spiritual, you transcend, where the suffering and all that other stuff from this earthly plane no longer even affects you anymore. That you be like, what problems? We ain't got no problems. We ain't got no problem. We ain't got no problem.
Okay.
What?
What?
We got love. When we got love, nothing else even matters. Nothing even matters.
Nothing even matters. And that is it, guys. We about to get up out of here. Welcome to the way. It's your girl Infinity, my boo love, Jaguar, Noir, Moon. I love you. All right, and we love you guys. We're out.